What void are you trying to fill with this non-stop pursuit? Ooh. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Self-Help Chatty Book Club. This is episode 2 of us diving into In the Flow by Alyssa Vitti. If you want to be part of this and you want to read along with us, the link is down below. There's still plenty to cover in this book. Also, before we get into it, what do you think of the background? I got this one and I also got like a light pink one. So this is for when I'm feeling like we need some vibrance. I just love it. I just feel like there's so much life in it. I'm gonna get straight into the content. We actually have quite a bit to cover today. In this video, we're reading from page 50 to 100. And we're starting off by looking at flow blockers. So these are things that are getting in your way from experiencing the magic that we apparently should be accessing as women, that most of us are not. So there's 6 main ones that she mentions in the book. So the first one, you're watching only one clock. The clock that you're watching is most likely the 24-hour one, because apparently there's actually a right time in your cycle to be doing certain types of activities. You've got certain strengths in certain phases of your cycle, and that could be a weakness at other phases. Like she says, to adopt right timing, the best time for your to-dos. She says to group tasks based on the strengths of that phase. And she also said, and I was very excited about this, she said there's a daily planner incoming to help with this. I am so down. And when you adopt this cycle syncing method, you actually master your energy rather than mastering time. I mean, in my opinion, both are important. You guys know I'm a productivity person, so I'm not going to sit here and say that time management isn't important, but I do believe that energy management is a huge part of how productive you can possibly be, because if you have all the time in the world and your energy isn't aligned with what you're trying to do, good luck trying to get it done. So the second flow blocker she talks about is you're living in perpetual productivity. Okay, so she says the relentless pursuit of productivity forces you to put yourself last on your to-do list, and self-care goes out the window. So you skip meals, you go to sleep too late, you have too much coffee, this kind of stuff. Therefore, your endocrine system goes haywire, and a cascade of imbalances and a laundry list of symptoms occur. And somehow you're still meant to produce at top speed. The third flow blocker, which we have actually spoken about on this channel before, and that's you believe being busy is a status symbol or badge of honor. I went on a rant on this on Instagram or TikTok or both maybe a few months ago when we were covering deep work. Why do we keep doing and keep pretending that we're only worthy as human beings if we are busy? You know when someone asks you, how are you? And you say, oh, I'm so busy. Can we actually just take a step back and realize that's not an emotion? How are you? I'm busy. No, how are you? I'm good. I'm great. I'm happy. Busy is not a feeling. Thank you. And this is all down to modern conditioning, where the more tasks completed, the more valuable you are. And you might not even realize that you're doing this. But you know those days where you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh God, I really didn't get much done. Next time that happens, just stop and notice how you actually feel about that. Do you start to feel like, oh my God, what was the point of today? And I take this into account when I'm teaching about productivity, because I do not aspire for my students to think this way. She also says, it's as if we're aspiring to be machines that never power down, like our phones, which spurred some thoughts in my mind, because I was like, you know that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? That saying applies to people you spend time with. It also applies to people's content you consume. So if you consume a certain person's content more than you spend time with like certain actual real life people, they count as one of those 5 people that you spend the most time with. We spend so much time with our phones. We constantly see the pattern of them never powering down. If battery starts to go low, we charge it up. We don't even let it die. We couldn't possibly go without for a few minutes, you know? And it's just very interesting because that's reinforcing a message in our brain. Hey, it's possible to just be on and functional 100% of the time. That can lead to us feeling guilty when we actually take the much needed rest that our bodies and minds and souls fucking require to function. What void are you trying to fill with this non-stop pursuit? Ooh, I noticed a pattern in myself a couple of months ago where I was setting goals, and as I was getting close to the goal, I'd raise the goal. So I was stealing the opportunity for me to even hit the goal. What is that about? It's like not allowing myself to bask in the success that I've created. If that's what we're constantly doing over and over and over months and years, like, what is the point? All right, next flow blocker. You expect to feel the same every day. Our emotional energy levels expand and retract in a natural rhythm throughout our cycle. Sometimes we're more social and communicative, and other times we are more introspective and like homebody-ish. But the thing is, our society values outward energy more than inward energy, and it makes us think that we're lazy if we, are more self-indulgent and we focus on ourselves from time to time. What I've learned from this book is we actually shouldn't be performing the same every day, because that's not how our bodies work as women. When you think about it like this, absolutely it makes so much sense. But sometimes we do just get into that zone of, what am I doing today? Okay, go. What am I doing today? Okay, go. And the last flow blocker is you have a hormonal imbalance or you're taking the pill. Call me out, why don't you? You won't be able to fully access the gifts of your second clock if this is the case. So she shares some simple cyclical hacks. Simple cyclical hacks. Oh my god, say that 5 times in a row. Simple cyclical hacks, simple cyclical hacks, simple cyclical hacks. So number 1, take stock of your energy at the end of the day. If you're exhausted and drained or energized and invigorated. Number 2, keep track of how often you say yes when you mean no. Number 3, take one thing a day off your to-do list and resist the urge to fill it with something else to do. Number 4, dare to do nothing for 30 minutes, or at least just engage in a small pleasure, like a hike, a phone call with a friend, nothing that's related to an actual goal. Number 5, list 3 things you can do besides work. Number 6, when someone asks, how are you? Respond with an emotion, not, I'm so busy. Now we're into the next chapter, which is chapter 3, understanding your hormonal advantages. Oh my god, I'm hungry actually, come to think of it. So let's talk hormones, shall we? First things first, estrogen. This is the superstar of your hormonal system. It is crucial for ovulation, pregnancy, protects from dementia apparently, bone density loss, etc. And then we have progesterone, which is crucial for controlling. Oh my god, what way did I write this? So progesterone is crucial. I'm tired, man. I went to a really weird concert last night and I was home late and I went to sleep late. I'm just like all over the place today. Let's try to get through this. These are all big words. All right, progesterone is crucial for controlling and maintaining the uterine lining in anticipation of pregnancy. It promotes relaxation, improves sleep, and enhances mood, which is very feminine energy vibes. Oh, we have more. Okay, testosterone. This gets a slight surge just after ovulation, which means you have a higher sex drive when you're most likely to get pregnant. So that's great if you're trying to get pregnant. If you're not, it's a rough time. Then we have FSH, the follicle stimulating hormone. Imbalances in this lead to infertility, so that's definitely important. And then cortisol, I know her well, the stress hormone. Good in small doses, but when it's chronically high, this can disrupt ovulation, decrease progesterone levels, sap your sex drive, and cause fertility problems. And in big block capitals, we're saying resolve hormonal issues first before you even try to sync with your cycle or lose weight from syncing with your cycle or anything like that. So let's get into reconnecting with your power. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote down this note. I said, like you're from South Dublin. Oh, okay. So it's not power, it's POWR. So like power. That's wrote down like you're from South Dublin. because people from South Dublin are very posh. So unnecessary for the actual content, but anyway, let's keep going. Something that is interesting is we've always been told that day 1 of your cycle is the first day of your period. Apparently that's not true. The first day of your cycle is day 1 of your follicular phase, which is just after your period ends. And this is a time for a new beginning, for a fresh start. You'll probably feel like planning things at this point. And this is 7 to 10 days long. Phase 2 is ovulation. And this is when you're meant to open up. That's what they say. There is a dramatic rise in estrogen in this phase, and you're going to feel more social and communicative. Ovulation is 3 to 4 days long. Phase 3, then we have the luteal phase, which is 10 to 14 days long. So this is the longest one. This is the time where you will experience PMS if you have too much estrogen in relation to progesterone. That's an interesting one. And this is when you're going to be naturally inclined to complete projects and tie up loose ends. You begin to turn your attention on yourself. Then in phase 4, that's the menstrual phase, and this is when you rest. It's 3 to 7 days long, and the consistency, color, and duration of your menstrual period is a powerful indication of your hormonal health. Isn't that mad? This is an ideal time for reflection and looking inward. We have another little subsection here that says your second clock affects 5 biological systems. So these are the main systems in your body that are borderline controlled by your second clock. So the first one is the brain. So let's go deeper on that. We as women, this is so fucking interesting to me. We have a larger prefrontal cortex than male brains. This prefrontal cortex is involved in planning, organization, and so on. So we're just naturally better planners. This larger prefrontal cortex also means we have more empathy, more impulse control, and more focus. So hang on a fucking second, we are powerful bitches. We also have a bigger hippocampus, which is associated with long-term memory and emotional memory. She says this is why women never forget an argument or a wedding anniversary or anything like that. When an emotion is attached to a memory, it sticks. We do have a smaller amygdala, which is the fear and anger center, and this gives us a greater ability to diffuse situations. We have a bigger insula, which houses gut instincts. This is insane. I did not even know there was science behind gut instincts, like our intuition. What? Like, oh, it's just mad. We also have a smaller hypothalamus, and this is associated with sex drive, which is why we don't think with our... This is literally what I wrote in my notes. Which is why we don't think with vagine. Ultimately, we are wired for leadership, empathy, community building, problem solving, intuition, fairness, and systems thinking. We're f***ing amazing. And society has told us that we're not. And there's like generational trauma about how you're less so if you're a woman. And like, can we just look at the science? We are insanely amazing and powerful. I will never be told otherwise again, I swear to God. Alright, so the second system that's involved is the immune system. And right, listen to this now. Women generally fight off common ailments better than men. This book is a feminist dream, I swear to God. And she says, especially during reproductive years. So we stay healthy for childbearing. Of course, it makes so much sense. You're more likely to come down with a cold right before your period because in the second half of your cycle, your immune system takes a step back so that your body won't attack a fertilized egg. I love women. If your hormones are balanced, your immunity shift is imperceptible. You won't even notice it. If they're not balanced, you're more likely to feel very run down, more fatigued and stuff like that. Okay, so the third system is metabolism. We are told that having a fast metabolism is like the be all and end all for health and weight loss. But women's metabolic rate is lower than men's. Nature encoded women with the ability to create humans. Therefore, our metabolism is much more efficient than men's. So it doesn't actually have to be faster. Men waste nutrients by flushing them out of their systems quickly. Typical men. No, joking. While women conserve nutrients longer and extract more benefits from foods, so it's a more nutrient-rich environment for the childbearing process. I can't believe this is not mainstream knowledge and not taught in schools and stuff. Like, this is fucking important. Your ability to burn calories varies with your cycle. I actually went out of my way to teach myself about this when I was a personal trainer, because I was like, hang on, I've got many female clients. I don't want this to be my downfall or this to be their downfall in the results that they get. Rises in estrogen generally suppresses appetite, and a dip combined with an elevated progesterone stimulates appetite. Your metabolism slows down in the first half of your cycle, curbing your appetite and conserving nutrients in anticipation of possible pregnancy. And then in the luteal phase, which is towards the end, energy expenditure, aka the amount of calories you burn in a day, jumps 8 to 16%, just because you're in the second half of your cycle. And therefore you burn an extra 89 to 279 calories a day. Mad. Anyway, of course, with this extra energy expenditure, you do have an increase in hunger and some cravings sometimes, which can actually bring in an extra 90 to 500 calories. It might not necessarily mean that you're now in a calorie deficit. It just means, okay, everything is higher now. When we ignore our cycle, first half of the cycle, we drop pounds, and in the second half of the cycle, we put on pounds. When we're in sync with our cycle, we learn to compensate for a rise in nutrient conservation in the luteal phase, so you keep extra pounds off all month. Okay, so the fourth system we have here is microbiome. So your oh, I hate this word. Why is all these words are so big? Right. So your gastrointestinal tract, your vagina, and your breasts are filled with lots of beneficial bacteria, and a poorly functioning internal ecosystem or microbiome can lead to a buildup of excess estrogen, which is tied to nearly every hormonal imbalance symptom. And the in the flow advantage is smoother digestion, easier weight loss, enhanced moods, etc. So there's even more. The fifth and last system is the stress response. So instead of the fight or flight, women are more likely to have a tend and befriend response to stress. I've never heard this before. Am I the only one who hasn't heard this? I even studied stress in college. Like, I studied psychology. How has this not come up? Well, it was fight, flight, or freeze. But I never heard tend and befriend. So tend is tending to the young, and befriend is befriending others for support. The week before your period, generally you're going to have higher stress levels, and this is likely to help you protect a fertilized egg. That's fascinating. Now, this is what happens when you have imbalances, okay? When stress hits, appetite and satiety differs. So it's theorized to be why women are more prone to eating disorders. Okay. You're also more likely to have disruptions to your Jesus, to your sex life and fertility. How a rise in cortisol, the stress hormone, can affect your cycle. It decreases progesterone, which leads to pregnancy difficulties. It delays ovulation. It changes the length and timing of your period, and your period can just go MIA. Now we're into part 2 of the book, which is getting your body in the flow. There are phase-specific foods, fitness routines, and energy management strategies. Like, it's not just do this thing every day for the whole month, for the whole year. We don't work like that. There are certain foods, certain fitness routines, and certain energy management strategies that are going to work better at different times of the month. Okay, we're into chapter 4, which is never diet again. So anytime you don't feel good, stop and examine what is going on and start troubleshooting. Eating the wrong foods or eliminating entire categories or macros from your diet can rob your system of raw materials it needs to produce healthy hormones, which play a critical role in our physical health, our cognitive function, moods, and longevity. Okay, fine. Come at me then. You know what? This next part is really interesting. It was a scientific study they did on girls who hadn't hit puberty yet. So any of the girls who had more than 1.5 servings of sugary drinks a day started their periods on average 2.7 months earlier than those who drank less. Apparently, the age that you get your period is one of the first signs of hormonal well-being. Never had any idea that that would have any impact on anything ever. What? Oh, so that actually leads us to the end of video 2 of In the Flow by Alyssa Vitti. This brings us up to page 100. In the next video, we're going to be reading up to page 150. And I just want to know your thoughts so far. I have so many thoughts. This just makes me want to rejig my entire lifestyle. And I already consider myself a fairly healthy person, but I'm not perfect. But yeah, like there's always room for improvement when it comes to your nutrition, particularly when you're not even educated on it in a way that impacts women specifically. Like, nobody tells us this stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you made it to this point of the video, you're an absolute fucking legend, and I'm so glad that you're taking this interest in your own health, and our health is one thing that is absolutely within our control. I'm so proud of you for being here. I will see you in the next one, and if you're not already, go ahead and follow on Instagram and TikTok at More to Life Kate, where I just share constant juicy goodness for you to help you improve your life and improve your productivity and be the best version of yourself and hit your goals. So I'll see you there. I'll see you here in 2 weeks. Bye guys.